Stay, and I'll give you the answers nobody likes. Not the brochure about peace, not the Instagram minimalism, not the calligraphy of purpose. The honest case for ordination is indecently simple and profoundly offensive to modern taste. You cut away the parts of your life that keep demanding applause so that what remains can be spent on something other than your reflection. You give up ownership of your time, your image, your story, and trade it for obligation. You stop being a protagonist and start being a public utility. If that sounds like a downgrade, correct. It is a downgrade for the self and an upgrade for reliability. The monastery is not a sanctuary from the world. It's a place where the price of being useful is paid in the hard currency of sleep, schedule, and silence. Why would I ordain? Because you are tired of the gig economy of your own ego, forever pitching, pivoting, performing, and you want a contract that outlives your moods. Because voluntary scarcity reveals what was noise. Because the ordinary armor, romance, money, status, novelty no longer holds under weather, and you suspect the only freedom left is on the other side of less. Not fewer problems, fewer props. You don't ordain to become special. You ordain to become predictable in a world that profits from your volatility. You don't ordain to escape harm. You ordain to stop exporting it. You don't ordain to win arguments. You ordain to retire from the market of being right. If this already tastes like a crime against your brand, good, you're hearing me. The answers nobody likes are these. Ordination is a discipline of relinquishment, not a vibe of serenity, a contract with constraints, not a lifestyle refresh. It is where ambition goes to die so that care can work uninterrupted. The myth says nature sounds, warm wood, long exhalations, your inner novel finally getting written. Reality says boredom, repetition, chore level holiness, and the politics of proximity, which is to say, human. The schedule isn't an aesthetic, it's a vice that squeezes your narrative until the juice runs clear. You will not be the star of the liturgy. You will be the one who shows up on time. The robe doesn't crown you, it erases you into a role. The name you carried so carefully becomes a monastic name that strangers mispronounce. Your opinions get slower because the room matters more than your heat. Ordination is not freedom from, it is freedom through limits that remove the choice architecture that kept making you small. You give up the right to finesse your day around dopamine. You give up control over the playlist of your comforts. You give up unilateral decisions about where to be, what to buy, who to sleep with, how to spend a Sunday. In exchange, you get time unhooked from the market, relationships unhooked from seduction, and work unhooked from resume theater. You become available not because you feel generous, but because your day is designed to make generosity cheaper than self expression. This is where the romance cracks. Ordination is unphotogenic. It's not a cabin with a view. It's a bell that rings whether you slept well or not. It's the daily insult to the story, I am what I feel like today. It's choosing institutional friction over personal flourish because the institution at its best protects the weak from your moods. You won't get applause for this. You will get repetition. And repetition is the solvent that dissolves the charisma you thought you needed to be good. Everyone loves a simple picture, beggar's bowl, bare cell, halo of enoughness. But money flows, even where vows say it doesn't stick. The grown-up question isn't, do monastics touch cash? It's who controls budgets, who audits the drawer, who holds the keys, who rotates power, and how do donors get receipts. Poverty as a virtue without structures is a costume. Poverty as governance is a firewall. No private stash, no secret income stream, no unlogged favors, no charismatic exception. The robe magnifies money's moral leverage. Donors project purity. Institutions risk capture. For the Dharma becomes a license to hide books and bulldoze dissent. Ordination that refuses transparency becomes an extractive technology, selling proximity to the sacred in exchange for deference. If you're asking why ordain, and your answer includes access to resources you couldn't manage as a layperson, cheap labor, rent-free status, unearned authority, do not ordain. You're window shopping for feudalism. The Vows adult version is boring, publish budgets, rotate treasurers, cap tenure, record gifts, refuse donor strings, accept audit, and treat simple living as operational clarity, not a brand. The point isn't to look poor, the point is to make exploitation expensive. A monastery without clean money ops is a cult incubator with incense. A monastery with clean money ops is a commons for attention. Heat out, light in. That's the part nobody likes because it kills the romance of trust me, I'm holy. Trust is for children. Logs are for adults. The popular myth, celibates think sex is dirty. The adult read, Eros is a superconductor of attention, of energy, of politics. In ordinary life, it fuels intimacy. In hierarchical life, it warps it. Celibacy, when it's real and clean, isn't a judgment of bodies. It's a containment strategy that keeps time from being reordered by the strongest magnet in the room. It's also a mercy for the public. People can walk into your space and not worry that your care is laced with courting. But let's tell the parts nobody posts. Celibacy attracts both saints and fugitives. It can purify love. It can also weaponize secrecy. Without grievance channels, supervision, and a culture that treats desire as reported data rather than moral failure, celibacy rots into predation or spiritualized numbness. The mask of asexed serenity becomes an alibi for power that never learns to say no cleanly. Why ordain, then? Not to be cleaner than others, but to be answerable for your tenderness. You're betting that Eros, reallocated, not squandered, not sold, will feed something larger than your pair bond. The capacity to attend to anyone without angle, the stability to comfort without fog, the courage to confront without flirt. If you want a ring, wear one. If you want to run a public utility for the heart, don't ask the grid to carry your house as a private line. Celibacy ceases to be a halo when it's audited. That's the clause most seekers skip because it turns purity into paperwork. Good. Paperwork is where fantasy goes to die. Lay life rewards interesting takes. Monastic life rewards true ones, often shorter, slower, and less retweetable. When your robe is a uniform, every sentence either serves the room or serves your legend. The vow to refrain from false speech swells to include decorated speech. The self-flattering anecdote, the holy ambiguity that pads your status, the evasive apology that keeps donors warm. If the robe makes you vaguer, you didn't ordain, you rebranded. The answer nobody likes. Ordination is a speech diet. Fewer adjectives, more nouns. What happened? Who's harmed? What changes? By when? The monastery is a place where rhetoric is cheap and repairs are expensive. So you invert the economy, publish the mistake, name the boundary, cut the program that dazzled but drained. You will look smaller. Good, that's the point. The institution can now tell the truth faster than an influencer who must never bleed on camera. Why ordain? Because you want your tongue to work after your ego is tired, because you want to stop monetizing your insight and start stewarding it, because the world has too many charismatic weather systems and not enough barometers. You're choosing to be a boring instrument that keeps planes from colliding. No one frames that. Everyone relies on it. In consumer democracies, ordination looks like betrayal of family scripts, of national productivity religion, of romance capitalism, of brand. A citizen who won't optimize, won't marry the economy, won't post the day into spectacle terrifies the machine. You are opting out of metrics that teach the state and the market how to move you. You still pay taxes, still obey laws, still feed the hungry. You simply decline to be a content type. This offends both sides. Hustle culture calls you lazy. Activist culture calls you absent. Traditionalists call you unfilial. The answer nobody likes is you're not hiding. You are reorganizing your labor around a public good that the market can't price. Undistracted availability. Your vote is boring, your footprint smaller, your calendar unsexy, so that when the phone rings at a stupid hour, there is a human whose first question isn't, "What do I get out of this?" but "What do you need?" Ordination is a strike against capture, not a strike of rage, a strike of no to being eternally conscripted by novelty, seduction, and fear. It sounds self-indulgent until a crisis hits and people need someone whose day is not already sold. If you ordain to escape, you will harm. If you ordain to be unpurchasable, you become a quiet node in the civic nervous system. Nobody likes this answer because it won't trend. That's why it works. You wanted a call to greatness. Here's a call to smallness. The strongest case for ordination is that it removes opportunities to be dramatic. It assigns you to a loop. Sweep, chant, study, serve, rest, repeat. It puts you under supervision, not because you are a child, but because accountability is adult infrastructure. It makes you invisible at the exact rate your usefulness grows. The more you stabilize rooms, the less anyone notices they used to shake. No brand can sell this. Come be bored with us until your nervous system relaxes enough to be kind. Come be corrected until your speech gets honest. Come be nobody so that strangers can breathe. These are the answers nobody likes because they won't decorate a bio. But boredom is not the enemy. It is the solvent of compulsion. Repetition is not prison. It is the groove where reliability learns to sing. Supervision is not humiliation. It is the web that catches you the day your private strength fails. Why ordain? Because you want to trust yourself less and the form more. Because you don't believe your best day should set policy for your worst. Because you are done auditioning for a life and ready to work in it in a small room at unfashionable hours on problems that never end, loneliness, hunger, fear, and you would like as few moving parts as possible between you and the next human need. The monastery is not a museum for saints. It is infrastructure for mercy. You ordain to make goodness boringly dependable. You ordain to lower the cost of truth in your rooms. You ordain to have fewer levers for harm close to your hand when you are tired and proud and sure. You ordain, not because you're better, but because you're done pretending you are. So here's the sentence the brochure won't print. Ordination is a promise to be there when it's inconvenient, to be honest when it's expensive, and to be small when the world begs you to swell. If that ruins your mystique, congratulations. You might be safe to trust. If your holiness requires applause, it's theatre. If your vows make strangers safer at 3 a.m., it's real. Choose the one you can keep when no one is watching, and don't flinch.